Hello, this is Tommy Franks. Welcome to the 4-Star Leadership Podcast, a product of the General Tommy Franks Leadership Institute and Museum. We're here to get a view into the lives of the legacy makers, the movers and the shakers of today, to offer insights from the full spectrum of the leadership community. We'll talk to former 4-star students and explore their leadership development path. We'll work to find out what they are about today and learn from the opportunities they've made for themselves in this world. It's my distinct pleasure to welcome you to this podcast. Remember, leaders are not born, they're developed.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Core Principles of Leadership podcast with General Tommy Franks. I am your host, Jace, and it is a great day to listen to a leadership podcast. Today, we have Season 1, Episode 1, where we will have the country music legend, Neal McCoy, come on and talk with us about standing on patriotism. But before we go into that, let's talk about the main sponsor of this podcast episode, which is REI Oklahoma. REI Oklahoma is proud to be a part of the General Tommy Franks Leadership Institute and the production and distribution of these podcasts designed to inspire leaders and difference makers. At REI Oklahoma, we have been working with small business leaders, entrepreneurs, and people who are driven to succeed for years. Highly motivated people working to own their own businesses, live in their own homes, and make the world a better place. Since the beginning, REI Oklahoma has continued to identify hurdles and deliver holistic solutions to aid in the state's rural and urban economic growth. With an enduring mission to expand Oklahoma's economy, the organization works together with valuable community stakeholders to create jobs and help neighborhoods thrive. REI Oklahoma looks forward to visiting with you about helping your business and community grow. Visit reiok.org or call 800-658-2823 to start the conversation. We are very thankful for REI Oklahoma for sponsoring this podcast episode and everything they do for the state and communities of Oklahoma. And moving right along to our guest, Neal McCoy. Neal McCoy has released 15 studio albums on various labels and has released 34 singles to country radio. In 1993, Neal McCoy broke through with the back-to-back #1 singles, No Doubt About It and Wink, from his platinum-certified album, No Doubt About It. His commercial success continued into the late 1990s with 2 more platinum albums and a gold album, as well as 6 more top 10 hits. A 7th top 10 hit, the number 10, Billy's Got His Beer Goggles On, came in 2005 from his self-released That's Life. Music of Your Life with Les Brown Jr. was recorded for a public television special that appeared in 2011, with a new studio album finally arriving in 2012. In 2013, he released Pride, a tribute to Charlie Pride, Neal's longtime friend and mentor. Neal has been on 15 USO tours around the world and continues to say it's one of the achievements he's most proud of. He is also the recipient of multiple humanitarian awards from the Academy of Country Music, the Country Radio Broadcasters, and the Masonic Grand Lodge. In 2016, Neal has again made a move to continue his patriotic values by reciting the Pledge of Allegiance live on his Facebook page every morning. He's reached millions of viewers all over the country and around the world. Neal still maintains a very busy touring schedule all through the year. Make sure to catch a show when he's near because Neal always says no 2 shows are the same. Neal also supports his own charity organization, the East Texas Angel Network, which is committed to the enhancement of the lives of the children of East Texas who are living with terminal or life-threatening diseases. We are extremely proud and honored to have the country music legend himself, Neal McCoy, here live with us today. How are you, Neal?
I'm good, Jace. How are you doing, buddy?
Oh, I'm blessed. I can't complain. It's a good day to listen to a podcast. So today we have you on.
Sure.
That's right. And so today we have you on, and the topic is standing on patriotism. And you were the first person that came to our mind with that, just because of so many things that you do and show in your patriotism. And we're going to kind of connect the dots on how, you and your experience of standing on patriotism connects to leadership. So the first thing I want to ask you, Neal, is how did you and General Franks get connected?
I met the general on my first, I believe it was my first USO tour, first or second USO tour, maybe my second. The first one was in Thanksgiving of 2001, after the towers fell in September 2001. The USO thought it was, Wayne Newton had taken I guess officially, unofficially taken over the baton from Bob Hope as the ambassador to the USO, especially celebrity ambassador to the USO.
Right.
And he took it up and found out that they wanted him to take some people over to Bosnia and Italy and Hungary and do some stuff for our troops there, because we were so new into Afghanistan. They weren't wanting to put anybody over there yet. It's still a little dangerous, a little hot spot. So Wayne somehow found out about me. He calls me, gets me going that first USO tour. We had a great time. We get back and we're back in the States about a week. And Wayne calls me and says, he said, are you on he said, Neal, are you on a cell phone? And I said, yes, I sure am. He said, well, get to the landline, call me. So I go, thinking, oh, this ought to be good. So I get to the landline, I call Wayne, and he says, they're interested in would you be interested in going to over to I forget what he called it, Sandbox. I don't know what his terms were. Right. And I knew what he meant. Afghanistan, Iraq, Afghanistan, really, because that's the only place we were. And I said, yeah, I think I am. But I said, Wayne, this is actually one I have to run past my wife, because she was cool with me going somewhere where there wasn't a hot zone. Right. And he said, okay, we'll get with her and check back. And I checked with her and I asked her about going over there. And she said, it really doesn't matter. I appreciate you asking me, but it doesn't matter what I say, because I can tell the way you've been raised that you want to go. And I said, that's true. I don't want to go. She said, well, then go ahead and go. So I get to go. I get over there, and I'd heard, of course, I knew who General Franks was because I watched the news and understand he was over the Horn of Africa and in charge of all that. So, and when we were over in Kuwait, I think, and we were just fixing to meet the general, and it was like we were all standing around waiting on John Wayne. I thought, oh my gosh, how great is this? And then, of course, he walks in stature, and he is, kind of got that all shucks kind of attitude, but he's a big guy. And I thought, well, I am meeting John Wayne. No wonder I'm so excited. This is real life John Wayne. So we met him. We became fast friends. He took us. He was on that short tour through Afghanistan and Iraq. We were on tour with him, with his detail of protection, and we were on the same, I forget what size plane we were in, maybe a 141, I can't remember, but we were there, and he struck up a fast friendship with me and vice versa because of our relationship, him being raised in Texas, me being born and raised, and we just hit it off really well and became great friends to when we did get back to the States. I asked him to come to my foundation a couple of times, and he asked me to help out with this, and that's how we met. And boy, am I honored that I got to meet him and still know him.
Now, when that was all happening, did you still have the long locks that you had back in the day? Oh man,
I did not. I appreciate you knowing. That was 2001. I actually cut my hair about 3 years before that in 1998. So I'm sure I wouldn't have got the invite if I'd have still had the long hair. I don't know.
I mean, I gotta say, looking back at your music videos, it was majestic. If I do say so myself.
Well, majestic, I appreciate the word. More people would say laughable, but I'll say majestic. Thanks.
Well, you are. Our listeners can't see right now. I can see Neal. He's wearing a hoodie that says "World's Okayest Singer."
I just say I've worn stuff in the past that is. I made the mistake early in my career of I was just trying to help get my name out there. No one knew who I was. Right. So I wear we'd printed up some cheap T-shirts. One of them said Neal McCoy on it. So I wear a Neal McCoy shirt when I go out. About the second person I walk in to go, a nice shirt, who's Neal McCoy? I just said, I'm never wearing this again. So I learned then not to be so vain and embarrass myself. So I wear World's Okayest Singer. You can't argue with that.
Hey, I like it. Whenever you kind of talk about, being able to go over and serve the troops, I think that's a really good turning point into our first key point for standing on patriotism and kind of what you stand for and your experiences. And that's caring. It is so evident in your actions over your career that you care so much about those who serve our country, and you want to do everything in your power to recognize and give them as much support as possible. And I think, that is at the core of standing on patriotism, is being aware and supporting our
Yes, sir.
troops. Colonel Hayes actually told me another story about you and Wayne Newton, and I think a few Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders. And I'll let you
Yes,
tell
sir.
the story when you went over and you had to get a guitar. Tell us about that experience and how that concert went. I think it was on July 6th of 2003, and y'all kind of went on the fly.
That's probably right. I think it was our second or third trip over, and we were supposed to be going. We were in Talil, Iraq, and we were just going in there to see some troops, not to do a show, just say hello. We had a couple of shows lined up on the trip, but we were just going over the place, and we were driving, and the closer we got to the area was that we were supposed to meet them, we see a stage set up, some kind of little PA, and a bunch of troops sitting around, and I thought, we all just kind of looked and went, what's going on here? Because we were just going over to typically shake hands, hug necks, and tell them how much we appreciate and love them. And we get there, and they're expecting a show. So it's the craziest thing. Luckily, the Cowboys cheerleaders that we had with us had worked up a routine to a song I had called "The Shake," and they had rehearsed with it because they had an audio of it, they had a recording of it. So we said, well, we'll put The Shake on. They had a little PA. I'll sing along with it, and then you girls will dance with it. So that got us out of that. But then Wayne, we didn't really know what else to do, and we just kind of walk out, and we're kind of stumbling through what's happening because we know they're there to see a show. And there's a young man in the audience that had a guitar, and we asked him. We said, Wayne and I were on stage time just talking and shucking and jiving with him. He said, you play that? And he said, yeah. And then I think I said, now guys, does he really play it? Is he any good?
Right.
And some are going, nah, boo, he sucks. And then some are saying, no, he's really good. So we got him up, and I had a microphone and Wayne had a microphone. So we said, okay, sit down and play something. So he played, he sat on a stool. Wayne held his microphone to the guitar to where you could hear, so it was amplified to the audience. And I held my microphone to his mouth where he could sing. And he did a song like that. And the saddest part, and I don't know if Colonel Hayes even knows this, but that kid got killed about a month later.
Really?
And we have it on video and stuff. And it was really moving and fun for everybody. And it broke the mood. And then we found out later, Wayne reached out to me. He said, I got a note saying that kid that had played the guitar and that had got killed. And so it hit us right in the heart. But it's one of those days where we were just supposed to go over there. The cheerleaders danced. Wayne stumbled through some stuff. I can't remember. We had a couple of different comedians with us on different trips. That may have been, I think it may have been Rob Snyder. It was either Rob Snyder or Drew Carey that were with us. And they told some jokes. Ended up being a great show. But it was off the cuff because we were just planning on shaking hands and hugging necks.
That alone, that story, just knowing that, that soldier ended up, dying in combat a month later.
Yeah.
It ties so closely. One of the general's 4 corps is caring. And through standing on patriotism and you going and serving, you guys had to adapt to the situation because there was a lot of people waiting on you guys, and it was like, whoa, surprise.
Yeah, that's exactly
performance. And so I think that's
as we got closer and saw the stage set up and the netting over it and everything, I told Wayne, I said, Wayne, I think obviously they got a PA where somebody talking to, but it looks like they're there for a show. And as we pulled up, they were there for a show. And Wayne and I I'll take it one step further. Wayne and I had been on a couple of trips already with some configuration of the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders. So Wayne and we knew, most of them were guys, and we get that. So Wayne and I said, well, let's just, when we open the door to this vehicle we're in, let's just let the cheerleaders out. And Wayne and I said, we'll just stay on there and see if they even miss us. And they didn't. The cheerleaders got off. The wolf call started. And they're trying to get the cheerleaders' attention. And Wayne and I just sat in the van, looked at each other like, we could probably not even get out, and it wouldn't even matter.
They're fine. They are happy. Leave them be.
Exactly right.
But I mean, and it's amazing that story just kind of coincides with one of his four courses so closely because, and I'm sure you've heard this, but just for our listeners, whenever General Franks was a young boy, they were working on, him and his dad were working on their barn, and he had a handsaw. And for anyone out there that has used an actual handsaw, you have to pull it first. Well, little Tommy Franks didn't know that. So he got on there and he just tried to push and push so hard. And everyone knows you can't do that. And it's not going to go anywhere. Or if it does, it is going to be a heck of a time if you try to get it started that way. And so, one of his cores he built on was understanding you have to pull people to you before you can push them to great things. And caring means so much, especially in those situations where those troops are away from their family. They're sacrificing their lives, years of their lives, to protect the rights that we have and give us the freedom that we take for granted every day. And so, in the same way that, you value caring about the troops and what patriotism is, that is so applicable to the leadership role of everyone, no matter what industry you're in. It is your responsibility to know who you are with and care about them and serve them in every possible way. Just because, like General Frank said, if you can pull people close and build that relationship first, you will get so much more done. And, that says so much to your character and everybody involved that, you guys took the time to go down there and serve them. And, how,
yes, sir.
I just can't even put into words, because to me, that's just touching. And I'm talking to you over a Zoom call, but you lived it. I mean, what type of relationships did you develop with them in those moments? Was it just an immediate, just you felt so connected with them? Like, how was that process?
Yes. Yeah, it was. And the thing is too, we developed those relationships just amongst the people on the tour.
Right.
It's like when you go to I'm going to liken it to if you're young and you go to a church camp and you're there a week, 5 days a week,
right.
And all your counselors and the people that you spent time with, when that week is up, it's like, oh my gosh, I don't want this to end, because I have enjoyed not only our company of everybody, but what we've been able to do, whatever that was that you were doing. Usually at church camp, you were trying to get a little closer to the Lord and understand what that was about and Bible verses stuff. But the same thing over there, we'd gone over to entertain the troops, but you grow so close to your group. And then when you multiply that by having an opportunity to know what your group is there for, and then get out and visit with those troops and stuff, it truly is, it is an experience. All the USO tours I've been on, they've all been different in little ways, but they've all been things. Wayne told me on my first one, he said, Neal, you'll meet people here, you'll entertain folks here, not just us artists, but you'll run into folks here that will come see your shows sometime in the rest of your life. And every time you find out the ones there, these memories will come back to you, and it will just light you up. And only last weekend we were played in Holiday, Florida, at a place called the Stockyard, a big honky tonk. And we were there, and a security guard comes up. I've come backstage. We're fixing to walk up on stage, and he said, Mr. McCoy, there's a young man here that said he met you in 2001. This was the first time we'd been into where they were actually having still hot zone in Afghanistan at Camp Rhino. And he is here and just wanted to let you know that he was here. And I said, oh my gosh, can you go get him? And sure enough, he was on that tour. The first one with General Franks and me and Wayne Newton. And it was such a hot zone. It was one of the great memories of my life. But he was there, and he had his service dog. He'd retired 20 years in, had a service dog to work with him on all the issues that he'd garnered while he was over there. And I visited with him and loved on his dog. And I just hugged his neck, said, you have no idea what the people of the United States feel about you guys. And very seldom do they have an opportunity to tell you. He said, I know I speak for all of these folks that have never served, but understand what some of you guys and girls went through. And I said, I love that you came up to me and found me and wanted to say hello. It just means the world to me. So those trips were just amazing. And General Franks, one of the great things he did, and then I'll shut up about this, and we may move on to one of the other key points.
Go for it. We love it.
When we were out on a ship or at a base or wherever, General Franks would always introduce us. And the one thing that you're talking about, he would always start the conversation with you. We have a group of entertainers that have come over, and he said, and it's not, he said they make not one penny from this. They have come over to show you their love and how much they love you guys and how much the rest of the country loves you.
Right.
They represent our country when they're up here entertaining you folks and talking to your folks and shaking your hands and hugging your necks. That is everybody in the United States of America that feels the same way. And he was always gracious about introducing us with such a great introduction that it just filled your heart up just to hear him introduce us. And then he'd kind of step off and go take care of business while we were out there entertaining. Every once in a while he'd sing with us, which he was terrible, but he loves to sing, so we let him.
Oh man, I can only imagine.
Yeah, I'm sure you can. You know him.
But that is we're 15 minutes in, and that's just the sincerity with which you tell the stories, then the gravity that hits you with, it just makes you so proud, to live in America, and it just makes you so much, gives you so much pride that we have people like you that are so talented and sacrifice their time to go and give back to them. And so long story short, caring is so important in every aspect of life, and that goes with serving our troops, standing on patriotism. And everyone in every industry, no matter what you're doing, everyone is a leader in what they do. You have to care about those around you. And if you do, very obviously, you will have an amazing, amazing return on that. We're going to go ahead and move on to consistency. But before that, we're going to get a quick word from our sponsors. So here we go. Hello, this is Jace Zacharias with the General Tommy Franks Leadership Institute and Museum, and I would like to tell you about one of our partner sponsors. His name is Justin Krieger, and he has worked as an independent insurance agent at Krieger Insurance Agency in his hometown of Hobart, Oklahoma since 1999. Justin is honored to help with the annual Celebration of Freedom event and has been a board member for the General Tommy Franks Leadership Institute and Museum for many years. He is also a fifth-generation farmer and rancher in Kiowa County, where cattle, crops, and even insurance is sold with a handshake. Give him a call at 580-726-3076 or come by the office if you would like to speak with Justin Krieger or Kathy Langford about insurance. We are thankful to our customers and friends who have supported us through the years. Again, Justin would like to say how honored he is to live in such a great country and how proud he is to help sponsor these podcasts. Please enjoy the rest of this podcast experience from your friends at Krieger Insurance Agency. All right, we're back with Neal McCoy on our first episode this year, and we just got done talking about caring, and now we're rolling into consistency. So Neal has this thing he does, and I'll let him talk more about it. He has done the Pledge of Allegiance on a Facebook Live for, is it 1,861 days in a row? Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
My goodness.
Yes, sir. 1,861 days.
So
5 years, a month, and 3 days.
That is amazing. That is amazing. And so tell us, A, how that got started, and B, how many views did you get on the first one compared to how many you have now? Like, how much has that grown?
Well, it's kind of crazy, Jace, in that I started just by writing the pledge on my Facebook page, because at the time Facebook Live was not around yet.
Right.
So I wrote the pledge on my Facebook page. And the reason I even started that was because at the time, we had about 11 or 12 Republicans that were running to trying to get the nomination to be the Republican nomination of the President of the United States. The Democrats still had 4 or 5 people. Already I had seen that they were starting to, everybody's starting to get onto each other. And right. I said, you know what, and I know it's going to happen. It's just the nomination process. They're going to get on each other and try to bring up their weak points where they can win the nomination. But I said, the one thing that we can do, no matter who's representing the right side or the left side,
right.
The one thing that we can do is show respect for our flag and our country. Right. I said that I felt like that had started to dwindle a little bit. And I was not happy with it. So I just wrote it on my Facebook page and didn't say anything else. Just wrote the Pledge of Allegiance and hit send and hit post and a few people. We had a pretty good following of people writing back, "Oh, that's cool. What's this about?" And then some people were writing it back. I pledge allegiance to the United States of America.
Right.
And so I just kept doing that for a while until Facebook Live came on. And then I took it to another step. The second I was able to go live, I started doing it in the mornings and telling people that I'm going to be doing it at this time tomorrow at 9 o'clock or wherever I am. And then we had huge numbers, Jace. And I think, and nothing wrong with private entities determining what they're going to show on there, like Facebook and stuff. But when I first started going live, I bet we were having 300 and something thousand views a day.
Oh, wow.
It was something. Yeah. Now it's so really it has gone in reverse because of the popularity of it and people just saying, that's fantastic. I hadn't done that in a long time. I love this. I love showing this respect for our flag and our country. Because of that and the popularity out there, I think Facebook kind of figured it out and they have just slowly squashed my numbers to where, but we still do well. We have 20 or 30,000 views a day.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Which is fantastic.
Yeah.
But it has come down only because I think they've just kind of reduced our signal. But I started it just to show that, and people got on board, and because there are a lot of people out there that still love and respect our flag and our country.
Oh, absolutely. And 1,861 days. I recently read a book about, creating habits that you really want to keep. And it just said, be 1% better every day at what you want to be good at. And before long, you'll be twice as good as you are. And that kind of builds into the consistency of, you could have stopped at 100 days or 50 days, or, you could have stopped a long time ago. But I think that shows consistency in your actions shows that you're serious about it, which I think says so much about your character, which is another one of General Franks's core principles of leadership is character. And I think building that trust and validity in what you say you stand on relies so much in consistency. Because if you would have said, I love the pledge, and you said it, one day, okay, yeah, you love the pledge, you love this country. But the fact that you have stayed consistent for 1,861 days, I think gives so much more validation and respect to you and your character for, what, I believe in this and I'm going to keep standing on it continuously.
I appreciate that. I think consistency and commitment are almost go hand in hand.
Absolutely.
Together, because you have to be all in. If you're going to do something right, or at least the way you think it is right, you need to be all in and rest on your laurels of the way you feel. And consistency is one of them. And what I really appreciate, Jace, what you're bringing out and what the General has brought out so well is to try and get either this podcast or these messages, however they can get them through to these younger folks who are in the blooming part of their careers and their education. And maybe they'll see this and hear this and understand that there's only a 22-year-old talking to me who understands what we're talking about.
Absolutely.
So you've bought in, you're all in, and in that they hear somebody close to their age going, well, we hear this young man, somebody pretty close to our age, and we know that he's all in. Why don't we give this stuff a shot? And I think that's what the General and all you folks and everybody, what you're doing with the 4-Star Leadership Program is getting right. They're trying to find these kids and not necessarily the kids that are all going to be the valedictorians of their schools, but just good folks that want to help and do stuff. And they're kind of honing in these 4, not the ones I'm bringing, but the one that the General's got and all of us together. Yeah. And they get those and they get that and they're hearing all these different stories from different people. And then once they get that, maybe that'll turn them on to saying, hey, well, I know if I'm going to be successful or something, or even if I'm not successful at it, if I'm going to be really good at something, then I need to kind of follow some of these principles. And I thank the General. I don't talk to him as much as I used to, but I always appreciate him because he is consistent with this, because it'd be real easy. He hadn't been the General in a long time. He retired, years back.
Right.
He could have just gone on and said, well, you know what? I'm just going to take it easy. I'm going to feed my cows and do my stuff here. Yeah, that's right. And he hadn't. He has stayed with it, and he's ramrodded this thing and continued to bring in people on the board and other speakers to get to these young people, and hadn't dropped the program. And I know y'all stayed with it, and you did it virtually, even though it could have disappeared even for that year. But
Right.
then once I think your people are smart enough to know that if you do that, you may not get it back. So y'all did virtual, and from what I understand, it just went gangbusters. So
Absolutely.
Commitment, consistency are some of the same things. So yes, sir, I have been committed to and consistent on my Pledge of Allegiance because I believe in it, and because of that, other people have been consistent on coming there with me. And sometimes they'll apologize. They'll arrive the next morning and say, "I'm sorry, I missed the pledge," and I just go, "Oh, it's okay. I'm going to be here. You don't have to be. Just know if you want to be here, I'm going to be here too." And I think that is, at least with my core audience,
Right,
of viewers and listeners, they have become that, and they've bought into the program too. So it's great. Something that if you can just get people to believe in something, and believe in it with their hearts and minds, then you're way ahead of the game.
Absolutely. And like you said, your consistency in your patriotic duty has drawn others to be more consistent. So your actions directly affects those around you. And I think that is what the line to connect the dots with. We had caring, and you have to care, and you will get so much of a return. In the same way, consistency. If you are consistent, and it does not matter what industry anyone is in, if you are consistent in your actions and in what you say, others will follow suit. And I think it's also very important how you said, these young kids that buy in, they need to see someone that they view as a role model to buy in themselves. Because there's a certain point you started out, and you opened up for a while before you blew up. And I think another great principle that we try to instill in these young people, especially, the only person that can hold you back in life, even though everybody has their own environment and different struggles, the only person that can hold you back in life is yourself. And we want to empower these students and business leaders and organizations to understand you can accomplish whatever you want to accomplish through exercising our 4 cores as well as, your 4 cores. And that's what's so amazing about this podcast is we get to have all these discussions on your experiences and how it served you so that others can learn. So, I mean, I think we got a good start. We're halfway through here, Neal. We got caring, we got consistency, we got great stories. So we'll go ahead and jump to our next one, which is loyalty. And I think this is very, very important and sometimes overlooked. Neal, I got loyalty to this great country that guarantees us all of our freedoms. What does loyalty to your personal relationships and loyalty to your country, what does that mean to you?
Well, loyalty means understanding that the people that are loyal to you and vice versa are not always going to do the right things in your eyes. Man, you're going to have to make some exceptions, and they're going to have to make some exceptions to you, because loyalty does run both ways. And I know the General and Miss Kathy have been married forever. My wife and I just had our 40-year anniversary back in October.
Congratulations.
And that is where you truly learn. Thank you. That's where you truly learn loyalty, is when it's close. And the same thing when you're raising your kids. Do you have their back, and do they have yours? And I know that my kids have my back, mine and my wife's back, and we have theirs. So, but we also were smart enough to stay out of the way and let them deal with their own things that they got themselves into. If they got something into that, got into something that they may not have been into, we would be there to keep them out of anything drastic. But as a rule, loyalty means letting the people that you love, that you're loyal to, letting them learn on their own also. That's the only way they'll know.
Absolutely.
And that comes from no one. I'll give you a quick story.
Okay,
General Franks, we were in Central Command in Qatar. I don't know what year, 2006, 7. And I always picked on the general, gave him a hard time. And maybe before that, 4 or 5, I think. He retired, I think, before that.
I
but
think so.
He had not retired yet. But we were on a trip, and we were in Qatar at Central Command. And I had messed with him all day. We'd been traveling together all the day. And I said, General, let me ask you a question. Because this is loyalty. I said, if you told these troops right here, if you see one and you tell him to do something, does he have to do it? And that's strictly on loyalty. I mean, he knows the rank, he knows to follow that. And he said, He said, I guess. So I just blew past it. So that that night we're fixing to go out on the stage, and I said before we went out there, I said, General, so what we were talking about earlier, I said, so if you told all these guys or ask them, that's the terrific part about him. He would get stuff done without just demanding. He would just kind of suggest.
Yes.
And that's where he was a troops troop. The folks loved him that served under him.
Right.
But I said, so if you said, you drop down and give me 20, I said, would they have to do it? And and he said, I don't know. So it's the show. We're doing a show. I'm fixing to do a Charlie Pride song. General Love, Charlie Pride, we just recently lost a couple of months ago. And we went into Kiss an Angel Good Morning. Of course, he never misses a chance to get up and sing. The General loves to sing.
Right.
So in the middle of the song, though, he's up with the band, we're singing, and he just stops. And I thought, oh my God, it's going to be good. So he addressed all the troops there. He said, guys, let me ask you a question. I said, and he kind of looked at me, and I thought, oh gosh. So he said, let me ask you guys a question. Neal asked me this afternoon, if I give you a command, would you have to do it? And I said to him, I guess they would. I don't know. He said, I've never really just done that.
Right.
And he said, so Neal wanted me to do this. So I'm fixing to give you guys a command. I thought, oh my gosh, there you go. He just pulled the bus over me and just parked it on top of me. He didn't just roll over. And it was one of the most moving things. And I get emotional when I tell it. And it went so fast, but this just goes to show character of General Franks. He said, so Neal has asked me if I gave out, would you have to do it? And he said, so I'm going to do it. And I thought, oh my gosh, it's going to be terrible. And he said, I want each one of you to turn to the person next to you and give them a big old hug.
Man.
And I thought, oh my God. So he turned that whole thing of us having fun and being goofy into something so great. And they did. They turned to one another and hugged each other. And I thought, that is the greatest thing that not only did he ask him to do, but what he asked him to do, because he knew what I wanted him to say. Right. He knew I was going, make him do a push-up or do 10 push-ups. Right. And he did something. And that gets back to caring, because he cared enough for him. He wasn't going to get them to do something stupid that they didn't want to do, but he knew they loved each other. So he said, if you could just give the person next to you a hug. And I thought, oh my gosh, now there's why he's a 4-star general and I'm a singer, because I would do something stupid like that. And he did, it turned it into such a goofy moment into something that no one, I tell that story still, and people love to hear it, when in reality, the only people that even know that story are the ones that were there that night.
Right.
And it moved me so much. But that's, I'll shut up about it. I get talking on some of these other stories, and that's why I'm glad you're here, because if you just said, Neal's here to do a podcast, well, I'd start talking, I'd end up telling jokes, and there's no telling where I'd end up. So I'm glad you're here to guide me.
We could talk for hours. I mean, this could be a 4-hour
I know,
if we wanted it to. But no, I think, and speaking on loyalty, there is a loyalty even I will obviously never understand. I've never served in the military, but the brotherhood, and sisterhood for that matter, of those that have served and those that have been there is a bond that is just beyond what I can imagine. Genuinely,
that's right.
It's something that I can only witness, and being able to look at you being loyal to your country and loyal to your troops that have your back constantly. I think that's a great lesson for us as leaders to, look around and say, you know what, there's not one person in my school, in my company, in my organization that wants bad things to happen to me. We all have the same common vision, the same goal that we need to accomplish.
Right.
And having that loyalty does nothing but benefit everyone there. It makes them feel cared for. You have consistency in loyalty, and just loyalty in general is just something that you cannot put a price on. In the same way you said with your family and your kids, they have your back through thick and thin. And I think, especially in as chaotic of a world as we are today, the topic of this is standing on patriotism. At the end of the day, we as Americans need to have each other's back. It does not matter if we agree or disagree. General Franks always says that we need to learn how to disagree without being disagreeable. and
Right. Yeah.
being able to have respect for each other, which is our next one we're about to jump into. I just having that story to look at and be like, man, to see the loyalty among General Franks and his troops and the caring service that he does for them. I think it's a great lesson for all of us to self-reflect on, am I being loyal, in my environment to those that matter? Am I being consistent in my actions? Am I caring for those around me?
That loyalty thing also works in your everyday thing, because the fans, Neal McCoy fans, are extremely loyal to us.
Right. Absolutely.
And a prime example of that was back in 98, 99, when we were coming off we had some pretty good records, but there was an award show that was it wasn't a CMA, or wasn't the AACM, wasn't a Country Music Association, or wasn't Academy of Country Music. It was the TNN Music City News Awards, and that was the Nashville network, which was huge.
Right.
And a country music publication called Music City News. Those two had teamed up to have an award show, and it had been going on for 20 something years. Well, in 98, because of my loyalty to my fans and going that extra mile and doing the extra things to gain their friendship and their loyalty, they voted me in 98 as their entertainer of the year. That was a fan voted award. And we won over George Strait and Garth Brooks and Shania Twain and
That's
Alan
a pretty
Jackson.
Good company.
We were in that category. It was the huge ones. And here's the deal. They had so many more fans than us, but theirs weren't as loyal. They had not bought in to who we are and what we're about. And then they had it again in 99, and we won it again. And then I guess they just figured, well, as loyal as Neal's fans are, even though all these other acts have many more, probably as long as we keep having this thing, Neal's liable to win, because he's out there doing it with these people. So they did away with the award show. That's what loyalty gets you sometimes.
You broke the system.
After 20 something years. Yeah. So I am still reigning TNN Music City News Award Entertainer of the Year, because they did away with it. So I still have the
dust off the shoulder. Dust off the shoulder.
That's right.
Normal Tuesday. Right. Normal Tuesday. We're getting close to our fourth and final topic, but and that'll be having respect over a common vision. But you're amazing, man. I'm so thankful for you taking this time.
I can tell you, I am more impressed with you than I am me, and I'm very impressible to myself. So you're a great not only interviewer, but you've got all your ducks lined up that you want to get in there. As a matter of fact, all of those of you who are listening now, Jace is the one that he wrote me, and they wanted to know my 4 core principles, or my 4 keywords that I wanted to base my speech on. And I wrote Jace only last night, I think. And I said, man, here's the deal. I can talk, but I need somebody to reel me in, kind of guide me on that. So I said, so anytime you want to help with those keywords, let me know. Well, he writes out 4 different things, the things that we're talking about. And they all made perfect sense. He said, feel free to edit. Here's my phone number if you want to edit. And I looked at him and thought, no, he's right on point with the things that I stand on. So I just said, no, we'll just go with that. And then you not only are good on the air because you speak well, you speak clear, you say what you need to say, but you're the one to help me come up with an outline. And because if you'd have been on here and say, hey, I'm Jace, I'm visiting with Neal McCoy. Neal, what do you think about that? Well, I would just have gone and talked the hour. We'd got no sponsorships in. They would have canceled this whole thing because no one would be able to get it in. So I'd just talk. I mean, it'd have been a fun conversation, but by the time we got back around with if we even got around, came back to where we started with my ADD, would have been a miracle. But you are good and at starting it, let me tell the stories I'm going to tell, talk about why I believe in the things I believe in. And then you gently guide me into the next one to where it's not the next thing we turn around and it's 11:45 and we still haven't gotten to the last one. And you're going, OMG. And then when we hang up and you call the general and go, why didn't you tell me?
Hey,
I
love it.
Talk forever?
You have no clue. For a podcast, we want to keep it, about an hour, because that's usually how much people listen.
Right, sure.
I guarantee you, I could sit here and talk with you all day and I would not get tired.
All right.
So I'm right there with you, man.
Last one.
Moving into the last one. We came up with promoting a common vision of unity by respecting the flag of the United States of America. So, I think this is a good way to end the podcast, a good topic to end it on. Because one, patriotism is woven into a common vision. I don't know, and that's kind of what I'm going to have you speak to. I cannot think of one thing that is more inspiring or unifying than being patriotic for the country that we live in, because we are a beacon for the world, and we try to set the standard on a daily basis of the rights and freedoms that everyone should deserve. They're God-given rights.
Yes, sir.
And being that light to the world, with the world being so crazy right now, you've already kind of touched on it. Having respect, for the United States of America, for the flag, and for others. What is so amazing about the American way in your eyes? And how do you go about making it a priority to respect others and your country?
Well, you're talking to an older guy. I think I'm young at heart and mind and spirit and body.
That's right.
And I still try to do what I can to show that. But you're talking to an older guy that understands and that took history and geography and world history and American history when I was young. And so I do understand where our country has come from.
Right.
I understand too the people that look at it from sometimes a different side of the aisle and say, yeah, we do too. This is where it came from. We don't like where it came from. Some folks are trying to, as much as we want common vision and unity, some people are wanting the exact opposite right now. So it makes me want to stand even taller and stay true to the flag and to our country, because sometimes people are going to need someone that they can look to and see what they've done in their past, not necessarily history, American history or world history, but maybe just somebody that they know that they've been around all their lives. Say they're 22 like you. Who are they going to look to? Well, they're going to look to their aunts, uncles, their parents, their grandparents. And if they'll take the time to look to those people, as a rule, most of the older generations are pretty core set on their beliefs and their respect and love for our flag and our country and our God. That truly is. But I think in some of the schools and other avenues, social networks and stuff, they're reading so many other things that they've been infiltrated kind of into really not even knowing exactly what the truth is and who to pull for. So me as an older guy, I do, because I pulled from my grandfather and my grandmother and my mom and dad, who are all gone now, but that is who I pulled from. So it's easier. But now that has gotten stretched out so far that the two generations below me are not quite sure what the real stories are, because they may not be getting taught American history in school anymore, or even their state history, Texas history in my account. So they may not understand it. So the first time they read on a social network site or see somebody that's saying, well, this is wrong, we shouldn't have these statues, we shouldn't have this, then they younger people are sway easier. So I hope that the younger generation will, before they just react to some of the things that they're seeing and say, oh, that's how we're supposed to act, this is how we're supposed to believe. I hope that they'll give a chance to go back and talk to their aunts and uncles and their parents and their grandparents and really say, where are you on this kind of stuff? Because I'm kind of lost. I'm not exactly sure what I believe. Where are you? And I think if they do that to some of us older people, I think we will hopefully say something not even necessarily smart enough, but inquisitive enough that would make them want to dig a little deeper and figure it out on their own. And I think once they get the chance, I think if they figure out on their own what we're standing on, the parents, grandparents, then I think they would say, you know what, I tend to think that they came before me. They probably are 30, 40, 50 years older than me and live longer. I think I may lean on their side for a while. And so unity, we can all say we're unified or we want to be together. But then if you don't practice what you preach, then you've really done more damage than even saying we should be unified, because people are saying we should be unified. This is where we stand. Well, some of the young people might go, okay, well then maybe that's who we should be then. If they're preaching unity and being unified and they're standing on this principle, then that's where we should go. When in reality, you just gotta you got to try and figure out, get into these younger kids, which the leadership group is trying to do, and get to them while they are still moldable,
Right.
and while their minds are still open, and
Right.
try and show them what we're talking about. So this podcast and the other people that I know that you'll do podcasts with are going to be very important because one of them may say, hey, Mom, Dad, or Grandma, Granddad, they had Neal McCoy. They said he was a country singer. Do you know who he is? And this is what he said he believes in. And they may say, yeah, we know who he is, and we understand what he believes in because we believe in it too. And anything we can do to try and get to them and just open their minds to where they'll dig and not just make decisions on what they see, or dig themselves and come up with their own decision. We think we've got a better shot at them understanding what our country stands on.
And I think that is an amazing call to action by you, Neal, to our younger generation of don't just roll with the first thing you see. It is so important to dig in and look at both sides of the aisle and determine your own opinion, because that's the great thing about America. Everyone is entitled to their own opinion, and it's our duty we might not agree whichever side you land on, but it is your duty to respect everyone's right to have their opinion. And I think it's more important than ever to dig into it, ask, look at different media sources, talk to, like you're saying, your relatives that have lived through, so many years of American history and understand it. And, I think that helps everyone have a much closer common vision if everyone were to dig into what is America about, what is it, the true history of America, what does it stand on, what are the principles that make America America, and respecting everyone in that process. You always have people you disagree with, but like General Frank says, being disagreeable or disagreeing without being disagreeable and respecting others at all times is so important. So I really like that call to action. Dig into your sources, and that goes for anything. Any industry can do that. Exactly. Because if Sally comes along and says, well, this happened, and you just believe it immediately and don't dig into it, that there's accountability there. So dig into every situation so that you can find common vision and patriotism in leadership, and show respect at all times. That's kind of wrapping up our 4 key points of, caring about each other can make so much of an impact on the relationships you have, having consistency in those relationships, your actions and your words, showing loyalty amongst those around you, and doing your research to find a unified common vision and respecting those people that you are surrounded by, not only allows you to stand on patriotism, but it allows you to grow in your leadership walk wherever you are in life. And I'm blown away, Neal. I mean, you have so much experience, and you've done so much for those that you didn't ask for it. And I think that says so much to your character. And to have you as a friend of the generals and the museums and the Leadership Institute means the world to us. If you are ever in town, I'll take you out to a good steak dinner, and we'll talk for another
and you'll buy too. Remember that part.
That's right. And for those that are listening, I always in college, I always went two-stepping. So, I think Neal provided me with a bunch of good songs to two-step with over the weekend. And that's actually how I met my wife, is two-stepping. So for all I know, I could have met my wife two-stepping to a Neal McCoy song. So, I think
that's exactly right. You could be so lucky.
That's right. I think a steak dinner is right in line. I think that's just about right. But Neal, I'm going to go ahead and pass the mic to you real quick. Go ahead, and if you want to shout out any sponsors you have, let the people know any concerts you have coming up. I know you have your book, A New Mountain to Climb. I got it right here. That's available on our store or on your store. It's a great book put together by Neal. And so I'll give you the mic and let you kind of give your shout outs and let the people know what you're doing over the next few months.
Oh, I appreciate it, man. Unfortunately, I wish the next few months calendar, which in a normal year would take me quite a while to read off because we
Right.
do have a reputation of working a lot.
Right.
We don't have a lot coming up, and even the shows, I hate to tell anybody about shows because we've had so many on the books through last year and this year that they'll
Right.
book you. But then if it hadn't, their restrictions haven't opened up by that time, then
Yep.
they just kind of,
Yep.
they end up throwing them away. But we're always, nealmccoy.com really is a place that you can go to
Okay.
that will have everything from our merchandise, from our Pledge of Allegiance. It'll kind of keep you updated on what we have going. It has our tour calendar. So I won't bore you with all those details. From a sponsorship, I've got a lot of great local sponsors, and a few national things, Wrangler and Stetson, Resistol, and some folks like that, New Holland Tractor. But as a rule, I've tried to not overload myself with these sponsorship things, and people have come to me to say, hey, would you be interested in talking about that? And I go, well, yeah, but I think it may cheapen my sponsorship toward these folks. So
Right.
I don't think I want to do that. I want to save those for close people here in our area, with the Patterson Auto Group and Kelly Tractor and just different folks like that. And Spartan, that makes great equipment. They make my Envy that I ride around in, my Intimidator that I work out at the ranch at, and one of the greatest lawnmowers ever. So they've done a great job. But I really appreciate you, Jace, in stepping up and helping me come up with these 4 core principles that I came up with. And they lean, as you can tell, toward the generals also.
Absolutely.
It's almost the same things. You just have to label them a little different because
right.
I didn't want to come on with the same 4 that he's got. Although they kind of all mesh within themselves, and it's just about being a good person, being loyalty, standing on patriotism, loving our flag and our country and our God. And if you kind of do those things and with the right mind, as many days as you can, you're probably going to be okay.
That's right. That is absolutely right. And then I want to throw one more thing out there. Where can people learn about your East Texas Angel Network?
I thank you. We have EastTexasAngelNetwork.com.
Okay.
We have our own website, and that's a foundation my wife and I started 26 years ago to help children with life-threatening or life-challenging illnesses, to help them and their families with expenses here in Northeast Texas. General Franks has been here 2 times, loaned us his time. He got up and spoke one time. Another time he's just there in support. And the people loved seeing him, appreciated him being here. We've had a lot of great entertainers over the years, most of them country music folks that have come, and some sports guys have come and donated their time. But it's all to help these children and their families around here. And in the 26 years, we've raised a little over $10 million, where all the money stays right here in our home area. And it's something we're extremely proud of. And I appreciate you letting me mention that. Anybody can dig into it. If you go to nealmccoy.com, there's also a link to the EastTexasAngelNetwork.com. So nealmccoy.com dang near get you anywhere that you need to be around me.
All righty, man. Neal, you are an absolute blessing to all those kids and to our listeners. I am so thankful for you taking the time to hop on and talk about loyalty and caring and respect, common vision and consistency in patriotism and in leadership. So I'm sure I'll be talking with you again soon, but I just want to thank you for being our first guest, and we'll talk with you later. Okay.
Tell Colonel and General Kathy we said howdy.
I sure will. This has been the 4-Star Leadership Podcast with General Tommy Franks. I'm your host, Jace Zacharias. I would just like to thank Neal McCoy one more time for being such an amazing guest and bringing all of his insight to this episode. Now it's your turn, 4-Star listeners. Be sure to follow us on our 4-Star Leadership Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Let us know what you thought of this podcast episode. If you are listening on Apple Podcasts, be sure to leave a 5-star review so that we can get this podcast out to more leaders. Join us again next time for more leadership thoughts and tips from our influential partners in leadership. Now, a quick word from our main sponsor of the podcast, REI Oklahoma. The board, staff, patrons, and supporters of the nonprofit REI Oklahoma are committed to expanding Oklahoma's economic prosperity. For nearly 40 years, REI Oklahoma, a nonprofit economic development firm, has earned the reputation of being one of the most comprehensive economic development organizations in the country. Business loans ranging from $1,000 to more than $10 million are made available by partnering with private sector lenders to provide business funding. REI Women's Business Center delivers training workshops, business consulting, and networking opportunities. REI Native American Business Center provides professional business consulting services and technical assistance to Native Americans to manage, grow, and expand their businesses. REI Oklahoma also offers commercial business space suitable to accommodate many types of startup and expanding businesses. For low and moderate income individuals and families, REI Down Payment Assistance offers down payment and or closing cost assistance through partnerships with participating mortgage lenders. Learn more at reiok.org.